I ordered this ArtSnacks ink collection box months ago. Months and months and months ago. It's a collection of inking supplies that ArtSnacks put together for Inktober. If you don't know what Inktober is, it is a drawing challenge or inking challenge that takes place in the month of October. The challenge was created by Arizona artist Jake Parker, and he created it to improve his own inking skills. He shared his work online, and from there, the challenge just blew up. Now, every year, artists from around the globe take part in the challenge. Clearly, I missed the boat because it is December, but I thought it would still be fun to go through the box, see what's inside, and then afterwards maybe create something using some or all of the supplies inside. All right, let's get into this thing. Ooh, another bubble pouch. Why do I like these things so much? It's the cheapest thing in the box. It doesn't even count as an item, but I love these. Anyway, let's stitch the box to make some room. Right away, I'm noticing there's a sketch pad hiding under the bubble pouch. This is really cute. I'm loving the artwork on here. It's making me think of like 1920s cartoons with a little twist. Looks like it's good for use with pen and ink, pencils, markers, pastels, collage, and more. Paper is 100 pounds, 160 GSM, acid-free, and it has a little bit of a tooth to it. Now that I'm done pulling a squirrel on the notepad, let's get into the pouch. Right away, I'm seeing a menu card. ArtSnacks always includes these in their boxes. It's a little bit of a buzzkill if you look at it first, since it lists everything inside the box, but they are handy. Next, we have some stickers. These are really cute, and it looks like they are the same exact designs that were on the sketchbook cover. Okay, it looks like we have a paintbrush hiding in here. According to the card, it's a Trekell Protégé Synthetic Kolinsky art brush. It's listed as a round detail brush with synthetic bristles. Next, we have some sort of multi-liner. It's a Uni-Pin extra fine brush pen. Whoa, this thing is teeny tiny. It almost looks like an eyeliner brush. It looks perfect for super fine details. I am so looking forward to trying this one out. So far, so good. All stuff I don't have, which is kind of a miracle. And I jinxed myself. Damn it, I do have one of these. It's a Copic Gas and Food brush pen. Don't come at me if I said it wrong. I was bound to butcher it. What's cool is the brush is long and it has a lot of flexibility, so you can create lines that vary in weight. Not a bad double to have, so I can't complain too much. Ooh, what are these? A set of 3 Jelly Roll classic white gel pens. Wait a second. 05, 08, and 10? They make different nib sizes for these? I had no idea that was a thing for gel pens. They do. See the different nib sizes? They aren't drastic, but this is pretty cool. I've never seen these before. Not too bad. Only one duplicate so far when it comes to things I already have. You know what? I have to stop jinxing my damn self. We've got a 3-pack of Micron pens. Do I have these? I don't know if I have these. They are thicker nibs. Maybe I don't have these. No. No, I do. Ah, man, I have all 3. That's okay. You guys know how liners are. You can never have too many. Okay, Williams, we have one more thing from the looks of it. Don't even say it. And crap. See, this is what happens when you spend all your money on art supplies. This is a Marabu Aqua ink in black. I definitely have this. It's all good though. Can't go wrong with more black ink, and this is watercolor ink, so even after drying, it can be completely dissolved with water. There's a lot of room to have some fun with this. Ooh, I lied. One more thing, but it's not an art supply. It's the snack in ArtSnacks. I freaking love Smarties. These things are gonna last a whole 0.2 seconds. Here's a look at everything that came in the ArtSnacks ink collection box. This is a solid mix of inking supplies. While I do already have some of them, there are enough new items included that I don't have, so I am happy. Before we start creating, let's go back to the menu card. As I said, one side has info about all the products included in the box, but the other side has a calendar full of drawing prompts. Each year, Inktober provides artists with a list of official drawing prompts to help inspire creativity, which is typically the same list of prompts you'd find in the ArtSnacks box. However, this year, ArtSnacks and Inktober didn't team up, so ArtSnacks included its own list of drawing prompts. Today, we are going to tackle one of the prompts from ArtSnacks' calendar. And the one that's jumping out at me is spooky strawberries. With the idea I have in mind, I don't think I'll be sticking to just the materials I got in the box. Instead, I'll be using some of those supplies mixed with supplies I already have on hand since I really want to use some color. Skipping past the sketching process, I'm jumping straight into outlining my drawing. Personally, I prefer sketching off camera. It's way less nerve-wracking and it feels a lot less rushed. As for my idea, the 80s baby in me completely took over. When I heard spooky strawberries, strawberry shortcake came to mind immediately. I have no idea why, but she did. I pictured her in a spooky strawberry patch surrounded by strawberry creatures that had a Little Shop of Horrors feel. I'm assuming most of you know who Strawberry Shortcake is, since she seemed to come back a few times over the years. But for those who have never seen Little Shop of Horrors, you are missing out. It's a fun, goofy mix of musical and horror. It is totally worth a watch. And this is why I absolutely love drawing prompts. Without the prompt, Spooky Strawberries from ArtSnacks, I'm not sure if I would have come up with this idea otherwise. I needed those two words to create this image. As you know, there is nothing worse than being stuck staring at a blank page. Prompts are a great source of inspiration when you feel like being creative, but you don't know what to create. I also love that 10 different artists could be faced with the same exact prompt, but they'll come up with 10 completely different ideas. I really enjoy seeing where each artist goes with the same prompt. If you find yourself getting stuck or needing inspiration, check out Inktober on Instagram. Outside of their October challenge, they provide artists with one new prompt a week to keep the creativity going throughout the year. Once the outlining was done, I went back in and thickened up some lines. Then I made some areas that would be in full shadow black. This was mainly under the leaves of the strawberry creatures and inside their mouths. Once the inking was done, it was time for color. I started with the deepest, darkest area of the strawberry patch, coloring it with a dark green. And of course, in the first couple of seconds, I hit Struggle Town. The marker I was using leaked out a large drip of ink that began bleeding into areas that I didn't want green. When this happened, I reached out to my artist friend Mike Stevens in hopes he might have a trick up his sleeve. He told me that the markers will sometimes build up pressure in the barrels, which will cause them to leak. So he suggested that I remove the caps from both ends of the Copic markers while using them to avoid the problem. From there, I used a couple brighter shades of green to color the leaves that weren't in full shadow or in full sunlight. Then I used two more brighter shades of green to color the leaves, strawberry caps, vines, and flower stems that were in full sunlight. Even though I was going for a cartoon feel, I still wanted to try to create some depth to the strawberry patch with the multiple shades of green. Once the leaves were done, I used a bright yellow to color in the center of the flowers. Next were the strawberries that were hidden in the shadows of the background. I wanted them to be darker than the strawberry creatures, so I went with deep, dark shades of red. At this point, I realized I forgot to color the base of the strawberry patch, so I jumped back to my darker shades of green to finish off the patch. Now for the strawberry creatures. I stressed over these guys so hard. I wanted them to have a dark feel, but they were also in full sunlight, so I couldn't make them too dark color-wise or I would lose them in the background. I also felt they would be creepier if they didn't have solidly drawn out eyes. Instead, I wanted the eyes to look like bruised spots, areas where the strawberries began to go bad or rot. I also decided to skip the seeds. I just felt like adding them would leave the creatures looking too busy. Once I finally got the guts to tackle them, I was loving how they were turning out, but once I got a few creatures in, I began struggling with the markers again. This time, when I started coloring the third creature, I noticed the ink from one of the markers was getting thick and gooey. Then it was drying shiny while the other colors dried flat. I had noticed this same problem a little bit with one of the shades of green, but it wasn't bothering me as much as it was on the creatures. Along with strawberry shortcake, they are a huge focal point, and the red was just smearing. It was making me insane, so I reached out to Mike again. He said he found the darker colors had a tendency of doing this, that he felt that the colors that had more black added to the ink tended to be gooey. Then he suggested I use another shade of red that was very close to what I was using but would be easier to work with, and again, he was right. Next up, the bonnet. I used 3 shades of pink and did my best to add shadow without going too dark. Again, I'm trying to avoid having my main character fade into the background. Going back with a darker pink, I colored the strawberries on the bonnet pattern. Then I went in with shades of red to color the strawberry on top and the band. I used the same shades of red to color Strawberry Shortcake's dress, where I continued to struggle with the gooey ink. Then went in with a dark shade of red for her hair. Skipping down to the ground, I used 4 shades of brown to create some depth and shadow at the base of the patch and under Strawberry Shortcake. Then I went back in with a liner to add some extra details and texture for the dirt. With the ground finished, I went back to my greens to tackle the crown of the strawberry on her bonnet, the diamond patches on her apron, the stripes on her stockings, and her apron straps. Next were her shoes. This was tough because her shoes needed to be brown, but again, I needed to go lighter so they didn't fade into the background. To separate them a bit more from the ground, I went back in with a liner and I added some shade or texture lines to the soles of her shoes. For Strawberry Shortcake's face, I used 3 light shades of brown. I was happy with the colors that I chose, but I noticed some black smudging or smearing from the liner that I used for the details of her face. It was making me nuts, but there was absolutely nothing I could do about it. I did what I could, and I hoped I might be able to hide some of it later with some colored pencil, since I planned to use colored pencil to add blush to her cheeks and her nose. Then I used the same brown shades to color her hands. At this point, with the color nearly done, I decided that the whites were too white. So I grabbed some light shades of gray to create shadows on the apron, the material under her dress around her legs, I have no idea what it's called, her stockings, shoelaces, and the flowers. For the final touches, I went in with some colored pencils. I added a blush color to her cheeks and nose, added shadows to her hair and face, then darkened the berries on her bonnet. From there, I switched to the white gel pens to add dots to her bonnet and dots to the sand for some extra texture. While working with the gel pen, I decided to go back to my colored pencils to add highlights to my creatures' faces. I didn't like how the gel pens were going down, and I felt that the colored pencils were a better way to go for more of a blend. Last but not least, I signed and dated it. And with that, my Strawberry Shortcake with a spooky twist is done. I am absolutely in love with this design, which says a lot because I'm usually pretty hard on my work. For the most part, I am really happy with how this turned out, minus the trouble I was having with the markers. For me, markers definitely come with a massive learning curve. I would actually love to tackle this design again in another medium that I feel a little bit more comfortable in at some point, maybe acrylic or gouache. All in all, I think it lives up to the prompt of spooky strawberries. How about you? What do you think? Before we wrap things up, I would just like to send a huge thank you to my friend Mike Stevens for all the help along the way. If you'd like to check out his work, I will leave the link to his Instagram account down below. If you love art that's horror themed or pop culture themed, or if you grew up on Garbage Pail Kids like I did, another 80s throwback, you will absolutely love his work. Definitely check him out. Until next time, thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you again here very soon.